Bell has rung. Oh shit.
The final bell has rung.
Dude, like
get inside.
Oh, we gotta go. In through here.
Bird.
Which one? Which one is the bitch?
No. What the hell?
The fire and rescue showed up, said, yeah, he's dead, and left.
Not here when I went to bed.
Not every outdoor adventure ends the way it begins. A climber survives a brutal fall on a remote mountain, while a motorcyclist uncovers a deadly wire trap stretched across a forest trail. Were these just accidents or narrow escapes from something far worse? The video was uploaded on April 17th, 2022 by a Scottish outdoor channel called Bushmen in Blue, run by a man named Al. The channel focuses on hiking and camping adventures throughout the mountains of Scotland. Al documents these trips alongside his dog, Blue. This particular upload followed Al deep into Hidden Valley, where he was planning an overnight camp high in the snow-covered mountains. At first, the trip looked like any other video on the channel. The valley was quiet, the terrain was familiar, and Al moved steadily through the mountains with Blue nearby. Then, while looking across one of the distant slopes, Al noticed something on the mountainside.
Well, I don't know if you can see, but someone has just fallen from the top of that gully and has stopped about 3/4 of the way down it, and they're moving fast. I'm just listening out and see if there's any noise or any distress signal there. Don't look like they're moving, to be honest.
High up in a steep gully, a climber had lost his footing. Within seconds, the man was sliding uncontrollably down the snowy slope. He tumbled hundreds of meters through the gully before finally coming to a stop below. From Al's position, there was no way to know how seriously the climber had been injured. Without hesitation, Al changed direction. Instead of continuing toward his campsite, he turned and began heading toward the scene of the accident.
Just found these two skiers here, so I'm just going to head up and just see if this guy's alright. But it's going to be a tricky one underfoot. Currently on snow. God, I hope he's alright. I cannot leave him without checking though. No chance whatsoever.
As he approached the area, Al noticed two other climbers farther down the slope. One of them was already making his way toward the fallen man. They signaled that the climber was alive and appeared to be okay, but Al was not ready to leave. In mountain conditions like these, even a minor injury can become serious very quickly. He continued on until he reached the climber himself to make sure the man could get down safely.
Two people now. One guy's walked his way down to the other one. He's moved and he shouted and said everything's okay, but well, nearly to the guy. He's up. Looks like he might be limping slightly, but at least he hasn't broken anything. Here he is. What a hellish fall, mate. Are you okay?
The climber had survived the fall, but during the slide he had lost his ice axe somewhere on the slope. Without it, he had no way to self-arrest while moving through the gully. Given the distance he had fallen and the terrain involved, the outcome could easily have been much worse. According to Al, the most serious injury was damage to the climber's ankle, along with a shock caused by the fall. Al stayed with him and helped guide him back down the mountain and into the valley below. If Al had not been there to witness it and nobody had responded quickly, the situation could have become life-threatening before help arrived. A fall like that on that kind of terrain without an ice axe leaves very little room for survival. It raises a question worth considering: how often do serious accidents happen in remote places with no one around to see them? This video was uploaded on June 6th, 2025 by a hiking channel called Dundee Hikes. The channel follows a hiker documenting outdoor trips along trails across the United States. During this particular outing near the Jim Jervis Memorial Picnic area on the Pacific Crest Trail, what started as a routine hike took a deeply unsettling turn. The hiker was making his way along the trail when something near the parking area caught his attention. Close to the edge of the lot, a car was parked at an unusual angle, positioned dangerously close to the cliffside. From a distance, it appeared abandoned, but the closer he got, the harder it became to ignore.
Do you ever see anything and just think to yourself, what the heck is going on here? And unfortunately, knowing that you will never know.
Near the vehicle, he noticed a rope hanging over the edge of the cliff. He approached carefully, lowered himself just enough to look below, and immediately realized the situation was serious. At the bottom of the cliff, he found a person in an extremely disturbing condition. He climbed back up and contacted authorities right away.
It looks like the sheriff's department sent a helicopter out, and I know they're sending ground units too. Looks like the fire department showed up, so the chopper is moving on to the next thing.
Emergency crews arrived by helicopter soon afterward. The atmosphere around the picnic area changed quickly. What had been a quiet stop along the trail became an active investigation scene. Investigators began searching the area for evidence, while rescue personnel secured the cliffside below.
All the rest of them got on scene here. I gave my statement to the sheriff, and they said they don't need anything else from me, so. And they asked me not to leave, so okay.
Before leaving, authorities instructed him to remain at the location. He waited as different response teams rotated through first fire and rescue, then what appeared to be a crime scene unit, which descended to examine the body and determine the circumstances surrounding the death.
I got an update from the sheriff, and he basically said that fire and rescue showed up, said, yeah, he's dead, and left. But they're going to go down and actually examine the body and try to determine if it was self-inflicted or not. Looks like now they're taking the stretcher down to recover the body. I'm assuming then that it's not a crime scene anymore, since homicide has not showed up.
During the wait, a detail emerged about the vehicle. The hiker recalled seeing the car parked there as early as Wednesday. A passing cyclist reported the same, but other witnesses told investigators they had only noticed it as recently as Saturday.
Well, after about 5 hours, they have decided that it is a suicide and they don't need me to hang around anymore.
Leaving the timeline uncertain. After roughly 5 hours at the scene, investigators completed their work and released him. Authorities determined the death to be a suicide. By the time he was allowed to leave, he had lost any desire to continue filming. The weight of what he had witnessed made the rest of the day feel impossible to document. What stayed with him and what stays with anyone who watches is how quietly something like this can happen in a place people visit to find peace. Trails overlooks open spaces they sometimes hold more than scenery. And when authorities close a case, it does not always mean every question has been answered. The car may have remained there for days before anyone looked closely enough to realize something was wrong. That is the part that is difficult to move past. How does something like this go unnoticed for so long in a place people pass through every day? This video was uploaded on July 25th, 2025 by a paranormal exploration channel called Exploring with Angelo. The channel follows Angelo as he investigates remote and reportedly haunted locations across the United States. On July 24th, 2025, he entered an isolated forest area long associated with reports of paranormal activity and unusual animal behavior alone, and with no idea what the night would bring. The outing began like most of Angelo's solo trips.
Possibly the woman of the night, if you will. It's really strange. I keep thinking that I'm seeing like reflections of like eyeballs almost, like off over there. I feel like I'm being watched. It's like I'm almost like seeing eyes off in the distance too, so.
Yes, it's me.
Yes, it's me. Whoa. Who are you?
I've been here 100 years.
That's creepy.
Malicious.
What's malicious? Is there something malicious here with me? I keep hearing something. It almost sounds like something's moaning, but it's quiet. What am I hearing that's making that noise? Okay, what the fuck was that?
He moved through the woods in near total darkness, with only faint moonlight filtering through the trees. Small noises and quick movements at the edges of his vision kept him alert. Then a low, drawn-out moan came from somewhere in the forest. He could not identify the source. Something felt nearby.
Bird.
That was loud. What was that? Firefly or is that something else? Okay. What is that? Okay, I heard something really loud down there. Legit, at one point, it almost sounded like something was right here. Like something landed on one of these rocks, like a rock hitting a rock sort of thing. And then it sounded like another moan came from down there. What the hell? What? Okay, how? What the fuck is this even doing here? Why is there a boulder in the middle of the bridge? Okay, I walked past here twice. That was not there. What is going on right now? Okay. Something did that. Okay, that's a heavy ass rock. I can't even move it with my foot. What the f? Alright, what did that?
As he continued deeper into the woods, he started noticing what appeared to be faint reflections in the darkness. Brief flashes that looked almost like eyes, watching from a distance. He could not confirm what they were, but the feeling of being watched never went away. Then the forest became loud. A sudden heavy crash shattered the silence. Rocks shifted somewhere nearby, and when Angelo checked the trail, a large boulder was sitting in the middle of it, in a spot that had been completely clear when he passed through earlier. The sounds continued after that deep moaning, the sharp sound of rocks, striking rocks, and movement circling the area just beyond what his camera could capture.
This is weird. No freaking way. Something's moving back there. What is that? Oh, I hear something. Okay, in all my days, I've never seen a ghost just lift a boulder. Oh, 3 knocks. 3 knocks. That was back towards camp. Okay, I heard that clear as day. What? I heard something over here. Okay, there is definitely something going on out here. Let's go back to camp. Those 3 knocks sounded like they were literally like right in that direction.
3 deliberate knocks then came from the direction of his campsite. They were loud and evenly spaced. Shadows moved at the edge of his light, but nothing stepped into view. Angelo headed back toward camp, every sound along the way adding to the unease. By the time he reached his tent, the feeling that something had been intentionally interacting with him was difficult to ignore. The disturbances continued throughout the night. By morning, Angelo packed his gear and left, noticing more irregularities along the trail on the way out. He left without a clear explanation, only the feeling that whatever was out there had not finished with the area. A boulder does not move by itself, and 3 evenly spaced knocks do not come from the wind. Whether it was an animal, something else entirely, or a combination of both, nothing that night had a simple answer. So, what do you think was actually out there with him? A group of cyclists was traveling along a trail on a quiet afternoon. A river flowed nearby, its sound echoing through the trees without being seen. It was exactly the sort of place where nothing bad is expected to happen. Then one rider lightly bumped another, a low-speed collision, the kind that happens all the time on shared paths, and almost always ends with a quick apology before everyone continues on. This time, it didn't.
Holy shit, that's pretty. Yo.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean it, eh? I mean, like, if you're making fences, like, might as well make them nice. And you guys are fast as fuck. I like it. I like it, guys. It's good. Really good. I mean, I've never seen that one. Who's the bitch?
What is this?
Which one? Which one is the bitch?
Bro, no. No. Bro, what the hell? No.
Yo, dude, what
Show
do we
me
do?
your bitch.
What do we do? What do we do, man?
Who's the bitch?
What do we do?
The older cyclist's response had nothing to do with what had actually happened. He grabbed the other rider's bicycle and hurled it into the river over a minor accidental bump at low speed. Within moments, any sign of reasonable behavior had disappeared. It looked like that might be the end of it. It wasn't. The older cyclist walked away, then almost immediately turned around. He'd convinced himself he had been disrespected again. He came back even more agitated than before, searching for somewhere to direct the anger that was still growing inside him.
Bitch! What?
We're not talking.
That bike in the river? Hey, you wanna try?
Dude, get the fuck away from me! We don't want to cause
I'm
problems.
the bitch!
No, dude, please.
You just
Please
said
stop.
it again, man!
Because you're hitting me, please. Buddy, stop. We don't want to fight. Please.
You do that again! You go in the river!
Okay, I'm sorry.
You
I'm sorry.
hear me?
We're sorry.
Do you
We're
hear
sorry.
me?
I hear you.
There's 2 bikes there. He could be in the river.
Okay, we're sorry.
I'm an asshole, but I won't do it because you're young as fuck.
We're sorry.
I'm 48. You want to do it again?
No, we're sorry.
The rider who had caused the bump handled the situation with a level of composure that is genuinely difficult to maintain under that kind of pressure. When staying calm didn't work, he tried reasoning. He kept his voice steady, his hands visible, and avoided becoming defensive.
We'll just chill, man. Okay?
Hey, you know there's a cougar around here. I don't know that cougar. But watch yourself, boys.
Okay, really careful.
Watch yourself, boys.
Really careful.
You want to punch again?
No.
You want to kick?
I'm really
Hey,
sorry.
you want to go in the river with me? Swim maybe? You want to swim because biking is boring.
Believe.
Hey, you did 1 fence, 2 fence. Bitch, you called me.
He eventually apologized, not because he was at fault, but because some situations cannot be solved by being right. When someone has completely stepped outside of logic, the only way forward is to give them something that feels like a victory, even when it isn't. Someone who goes from a minor accidental bump to throwing a bicycle into a river within seconds is not simply having a bad day. That kind of reaction usually suggests something deeper. What do you think was really going on with that man? On April 14th, 2022, a channel called Moto Wild, with 373,000 subscribers, uploaded footage that stood apart from its usual content. The channel focuses on wild motorcycle rides, intense moments on the road, and unfiltered encounters while traveling. But this particular video followed a Russian rider exploring a section of forest he had never passed through before. What he discovered there was not something anyone would expect during a solo trail ride. The rider was doing what he enjoyed, traveling through unfamiliar terrain, checking the path ahead, filming along the way. The forest was completely new to him. He had no reason to expect anything unusual. Then he noticed something stretched across the trail.
Hello, hello. Kam potečete? Is this the height of f***ing neck? So he was literally doing the trap, man. I have an idea. I don't need this. Maybe I should hide it. Let's keep on going. Oh, gas leaked out.
Someone had been through that section of forest before him and left behind more than footprints. There was wire stretched across the path at neck height. There were objects placed deliberately, The setup was designed to stop a moving rider, not slow one down, stop one completely. If he had been riding at full speed, the kind of pace that naturally builds when a trail appears open and clear, he probably would not have walked away. Researchers who examine trail safety describe wire traps as one of the most dangerous forms of deliberate sabotage on bike paths. At speeds of only 20 to 30 miles per hour, a wire at chest or neck height can cause fatal injuries, broken vertebrae, internal bleeding, deep cuts. This was not a random obstacle. It had been built with intent. The rider slowed down and called out toward the trees. No one responded, just the forest and the particular silence that appears when something feels wrong. He came up with a plan. He secured his bike to a tree, climbed as high as possible into the branches, covered himself with leaves, and waited. Eventually, the person responsible for the traps appeared. What followed was a physical confrontation. The rider climbed down from the tree, took control of the situation, and demanded answers from the man.
He's looking.
The man briefly lost consciousness during the struggle. The rider revived him and made it clear he was not leaving without an explanation.
Kaj je s tabo? Kaj je s tabo narobe? Zakaj to delaš? Kaj si hotel? Zakaj si ta kabel postavil? Zakaj si kabel postavil? Zakaj je bil kabel?
Ker se mi furate tukaj pošil.
In kaj si hotel doseči z njim?
Ti samo spi, pa se ne vrača več tukaj sem.
Kabel bom pogledal v zemljiško knjigo in zvedel, od koga je ta parcela in najebal boš. Moja mami dela na nepremičninski, boš videl.
The conversation continued for a while and produced nothing useful. No clear motive, no admission that made sense. But on his way out of the forest, the rider found something that revealed more than the man had. Hidden among the trees was a small structure, rough wood, built by hand. The kind of shelter someone creates when they want to live outside of everything and do not want anyone passing through. The rider stopped. He got off his bike. He swung an axe at the door. Then the footage ended. What was inside that structure? That silence may be the most unsettling part of the entire video. Most people who build hidden shelters in remote forests and stretch wire across trails at neck height are not doing it casually. Something had been happening in that forest long before this rider arrived. What do you think was inside that structure? Hype Mike takes his friends on some of the most extreme adventures on YouTube. On May 9th, 2026, Mike and his crew uploaded an investigation from an abandoned campground with a disturbing history. Children had disappeared there, and the rules posted inside every cabin warned campers to keep their blankets over their heads until morning and never respond if someone knocked. 3 YouTubers who entered the restricted campground to document the story had also vanished and were never heard from again. Inside one cabin, the group discovers a journal left behind by one of the children. The entries describe tapping on the walls after dark and footsteps outside when no one was there.
Oh, there's a journal. What the hell? Let's see if this says anything. First day of camp, heard tapping on the walls after lights out. Counselors told us not to look outside tonight. We have to keep our flashlights by our bed from now on. Heard footsteps outside, but no one was there. Something about this campground feels wrong.
Then one entry changes everything. A child from that cabin had disappeared, and the same strange rules were posted throughout every cabin like warnings. Someone had written them for a reason, and whatever happened there was serious enough that every child was expected to remember them.
Charlie is gone. No one knows why. I can't sleep tonight. Too many screams coming from outside.
No. I saw it.
I saw it.
Enter bunk 9, it says.
So bunk 9, dude. I feel like we need to find bunk 9.
Yeah, we do. Well, what if this is
number
bunk 9?
is this one?
With their devices running in the dark, the first response comes almost immediately. They are not alone. Then another message tells them to stay in their beds, repeating the same warning written on the cabin walls. Whatever is communicating through the device seems familiar with the campground.
Is there anybody here with us? Could you give us a name? Yo, look. It's going crazy, guys. That means there's something here, right?
Yeah, you shouldn't stand near it.
Oh, dude, it stopped when we moved.
That's weird.
That's kind of crazy.
Stay in your beds.
Oh, dude, that's...
What the hell?
Almost feels like it's giving me what those rules were saying.
Yeah, literally.
Rules vibes, like...
Stay in your bed?
Yeah.
Like, keep your blanket over your head. That's
Yeah,
what it said.
yeah. Isn't that kind of weird?
Then stay in your beds, bro?
A loud bang soon comes from nearby. One of them looks toward the window and sees two eyes staring in from outside.
Oh, it's on the yellow. Is anyone here with us?
Hello? Oh, shh. That came upstairs. Holy sh!
It's going crazy, like it's like beating. We heard that a bunch of people went missing.
They are coming closer.
Oh! Who?
This is crazy.
Dude, it's going off. Yeah, that is.
We're not even close to it right now.
How many?
Whoa, wait, we missed one. What? The ones outside are here.
No what the hell?
How come we didn't hear that?
Is that for real?
Yo, look, wait, don't move. Whoa. Am I tripping out? There are two eyes over there.
Dude.
Oh, no, it's not. The reflection. Dude, there was two, like, bright lights, like the images we're seeing.
Dude.
I mean, right now I think it's literally your light, but I'm telling you that wasn't like that. What the hell?
I don't like this. No, this is bad news.
Then they hear movement beneath the floor. The spirit box suggests that something never left.
Bro, there's something under the freaking floor. Shh. What the f? Whoa. What was that?
They never left.
They never left. Oh man, the skinwalkers?
Or the kids? Under the floorboards?
No, that's great. No.
Since the cabin is elevated above the ground, there is a crawl space directly below them. Another bang comes from underneath.
You have to go under though. How do you even go under?
Yeah.
Well, like the whole cabin, it's like raised above the ground. There's
see.
There's like a crawl space. Really?
Bro, bro, this could be like the clue that we're like searching for. You know what I mean?
I don't know,
like the
bro.
reason why we're...
Should we go under the floor? Is there any skinwalkers around us?
Follows.
Oh, follows. What follows?
Possible.
I can
It
see
actually
that, yeah.
is.
You want us to go under the floor? The hell?
What was that?
Over there. It was like a banging, bro. Yeah, I heard that. That was for sure a bang. I don't know if you heard that.
When the device mentions the door, they turn toward it, but nobody wants to approach it.
At the door.
Oh my god, Jesse.
What?
It just said at the door. No way, way.
I'm scared, bro. Like, I don't even want to get closer. Let's get closer. Let's see. This room is creepy. What the hell? It's like so abandoned. Somebody here?
Oh! Dude, that scared me, man. Should we go look under the house?
Bro, I don't think it's a good idea.
Outside, while shining a light beneath the cabin, they hear screaming from inside and freeze. Then one of them notices a piece of clothing under the cabin, something that should not be there.
Like under this place?
Yeah, look.
Bro,
That's
it's
what I'm
so
talking about. Like
creepy.
it's raised. It's too tight. Well, like put the camera.
Here, hold this. Hold this.
Watch out, bro. This thing just said too late. Too late for what, bro? I don't know.
Huh.
Whoa.
Listen. Oh shit.
What do we do?
Do we help them? Coming from the cabins.
We got. Oh my. Bro, why is it 10 times creepier outside? Look, right.
Oh, here, you're right. We can't see underneath. Here, let me get closer. You can see all the way through. Here, give me the other camera. Okay, grab this. I can see better with the light.
What do you see?
What the hell?
Don't look outside now.
Don't look outside now. Oh my god. Remember the friggin' rule? It said, don't put your head,
Hey,
keep
guys.
your head down.
I think I see like a piece of clothing.
No way.
Moments later, a bell rings clearly, even though nobody touched it. The device says the bell has rung, matching the rule about being inside before the final bell. They rush back indoors, and almost immediately, a hard knock echoes from inside the room.
Bell has rung.
Oh shit.
The final bell has rung.
Dude, like
Get inside.
Oh, we gotta go. In through here?
Isn't that what it said? Stay inside if you hear a bell. I didn't hear a bell though.
Like,
Which?
What?
Then something moves by itself, directly in front of them with nobody touching it.
I just heard a fucking bell.
Me too.
Dude, shh. What the hell
The
was
final
that?
bell has rung.
It moved on its own?
Yeah. I want to know how the hell it knows all this stuff. Like,
I don't get it.
It's
I
like
don't
it
get
knows
it at
the
all.
rules, right? Doesn't make any sense.
The most unsettling part is how every warning seems connected to the old rules. If the place really remembered those rules, What was it trying to stop them from seeing? Cursed Urban follows Dan as he spends nights camping at locations with disturbing histories. On May 15th, 2026, he uploaded a video from a place locals call the Halloween Forest. Dan goes there alone to investigate, remaining on foot throughout the night before later sleeping in his car.
Tonight, guys, we are at a very ominous location. We have arrived at what is locally called the Halloween Forest. This forest is called the Halloween Forest. No reason. I think it's because there are so many whatever types trees it is that turn like the orangish yellow color. But anyways, doesn't matter. This forest holds secrets.
The forest is connected to the story of two hikers who were beaten to death there in the 1980s, with a police report claiming that no human could have generated the force involved. While walking alone through the trees, Dan suddenly stops. From the same area he had just left behind, he hears what sounds like laughter. It does not seem to come from an animal.
Did you hear that? That literally just sounded like laughing from where I just was.
He stares back into the darkness and freezes for a moment, unable to move.
It sounded like a laugh or a chuckle from right over there. That's weird. I think we're getting into something now. I don't know if it's something or somewhere we want to be, but I think we're getting into something.
Then the spirit talker produces the word evil. Almost immediately afterward, something large crashes through the trees directly behind him. Dan spins around quickly, but nothing is visible.
Okay, explain to me, guys. Explain to me why we get evil and then something makes a giant noise from inside there.
The device then produces the word movement. The sequence is what makes the moment unsettling. First evil, then the crash, then movement, as if the device had described what was happening around him.
What did you just say? Movement. Evil. Something moves, and then movement. I think we might be in the right area.
After midnight, Dan is sitting alone in an open area when he hears the laughter again from the tree line. The device produces the word throw. Seconds later, something is physically thrown from the trees and lands near him. He stands up and goes to investigate what it was.
Throw. Oh! That was definitely something being thrown. That was okay. What was it? I hear Spirit Talker saying something. What was it that was being thrown? That was not some type of BS coincidence. Throw and then something's thrown.
Later, Dan wakes up before his alarm and steps out of the car. He knows he passed that exact spot when he arrived, but now something is there. When he shines his light toward the ground, he discovers a perfect pentagram directly in front of him.
Yeah, this was not here when I went to bed. This was, because I walked over by that tree that's right over there. It's a straight up pentagram.
The strangest part is how each warning seems to arrive just before something happens. If Dan was alone throughout the night, who placed that symbol while he was asleep? That's it for tonight. Which moment creep? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story, share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.